I hate those politicians. You're not going to find me getting involved in that. And nobody wants to get involved in organizational work. I mean, we'll go to meetings where everybody's in basic agreement, but who wants to go into an organization where people are not in basic agreement and try and get some friends together and go and try and turn that around, where you got to stick your jaw out and do a little confrontation with people now and then. We need to have influence in the power centers of society, which means all of the organizations and groups that have the power to lead people. We need to be in there providing and at least offering leadership. And that includes political action, but not only political action. So my answer to your question is, yes, we can continue doing exactly what we have, which is holding meetings, distributing books, producing video recordings and getting them around, so forth. But unless we take that next step and have a plan where we can envision coming to power, and this may take a long time, it's not going to happen by the next election, but unless we have a long-range plan for that, it's all to no avail. And that is the reason that I created an organization called Freedom Force International, which is designed to do exactly that. And I hope you're curious on that, and add one more thing to your email list or your internet list, and look us up. It's Freedom Force International, all big one long word. freedomforceinternational.org. And be prepared to spend a couple of hours there. I have looked at many alternative cancer therapies, and I find that an amazingly high number of them do have amygdalin somewhere in them. And even if they don't, usually those therapies are in combination with a strict diet, and that means getting off of the meat. And that in itself can be a great asset for a cancer patient, if nothing else is done. And in fact, you may find this statistic interesting, and then I think it's time to close this off. One of the events that I report on in World Without Cancer is a speech given by Hardin Jones. He was an expert on statistics. And he was invited to speak at the American Cancer Society Convention. And by the way, he'd been invited to speak there every year for a lot of years. He was their man. He was their statistician. And he said, I've been looking at the statistics for cancer recovery. And he said, I found that there's a lot of bias built into the statistics. For example, he said, a lot of the tests that you read about have a provision in them that if the patient doesn't complete the therapy, that their records are removed from the statistics, so that we're talking about only those who have completed the therapy. And that sounds rational at first, except if 70% of them die while undergoing the therapy, I say they should be in the statistics. But no, they're not. They're removed because they didn't complete their therapy, which means that the statistics for those that made it look a lot better than they really were. He said there's another factor. He said a lot of the institutions like Sloan Kettering and Mayo Clinic, they select their patients. They'll only take patients that they think have a fairly good chance of making it. The worst patients, they'll say, no, we can't do anything. So when they report their statistics, it's already selected against, so that it's not an average cross-section of cancer patients. He said, I've gone down all these things, and I come to the conclusion that when you strip out all of these biases from the statistics, those patients who undergo no therapy whatsoever live longer than those that undergo therapy. And they never invited him back. And that is the fact. Just might keep that in mind. No therapy at all, according to this gentleman, is a better way to go than accepting orthodox therapy. Thank you very much.
Edward Griffin is a writer and documentary film producer with many successful titles to his credit. Listed in Who's Who in America, he is well known because of his talent for researching difficult topics and presenting them in clear terms that all can understand. He has dealt with such diverse subjects as archaeology and ancient Earth history, the Federal Reserve System and international banking, terrorism, internal subversion, the history of taxation, US foreign policy, the science and politics of cancer therapy, the Supreme Court, and the United Nations. His better-known works include The Creature from Jekyll Island, World Without Cancer, The Discovery of Noah's Ark, Moles in High Places, The Open Gates of Troy, No Place to Hide, The Capitalist Conspiracy,